Princess Isolde, the only daughter of King Alaric, lived in luxury but felt stifled by palace life. The glitter of jewels and glamorous parties were just a facade for an empty existence. Her father, a strict and controlling man, demanded that she marry a powerful nobleman, but Isolde yearned for something more. She did not want to be just a pawn in the political game of her kingdom. Her mother, Queen Morgana, was an absent figure, tied to her own royal duties. In the midst of this oppressive world lived Dagobert, the court jester. Crippled since birth, with a withered leg and a deformed hand, he was the target of the nobles' laughter and contempt. But Dagobert hid a sharp intelligence and a deep sadness. His acid jokes and tricks were his only weapons to face a cruel world, where he was nothing more than a pathetic figure in the eyes of everyone except Isolde. The princess began to observe him during his performances, fascinated by the way he fearlessly mocked the powerful. One night, Isolde followed him to one of the castle's dark corridors, where she witnessed something that left her astonished. Dagobert, exhausted after a performance, took off his clothes and began to dance naked, with an intensity that mixed desperation and freedom. He moved as if he wanted to break the invisible chains that bound him. When the dance ended, he threw himself to the ground and, to Isolde's surprise, began to eat ants that were crawling around there. The scene shocked her, but instead of feeling repulsed, she felt a deep connection with the man. He was not just a court jester. He was someone who, like her, was trapped in a destiny he did not choose. Dagobert represented the freedom Isolde so longed for. Over the next few days, Isolde began to grow closer to him, meeting him secretly in the palace gardens. At first, Dagobert remained distant and suspicious, but he soon began to reveal bits of his story. He had been sold into slavery by his parents, who saw his deformity as a curse. Growing up in contempt, he learned to survive with his dry humor and wit. Over time, Isolde found herself falling more and more in love with Dagobert, not as the crippled fool that everyone saw, but as the free spirit that hid behind his jokes. Dagobert, in turn, also began to harbor feelings for the princess, although he knew that his love was impossible. He understood his place in the world and knew that he could never be more than entertainment for the nobles. King Alaric, suspicious of Isolde's frequent absences, began to keep an eye on her. When he discovered her relationship with Dagobert, his fury was devastating. He ordered the jester's arrest, considering him an affront to the honor of the crown. Isolde, in despair, begged for Dagobert's life, but the king was unmoved. He decided that Dagobert would be executed to serve as an example. Determined to save her beloved, Isolde devised a plan to flee with him, abandon the kingdom, and live a life far from the bonds of royalty. However, on the night of their escape, their plans were discovered. The king had foreseen their actions and sent guards to intercept them. Dagobert was captured, but before he was taken away, he looked deeply into Isolde's eyes and, with a sad smile, said, "Freedom has a price, my princess. I freed you, but this was always my destiny." Isolde watched helplessly as Dagobert was led away to his execution. Her heart was broken, but his words echoed in her mind. That night, she understood that freedom is never won without sacrifice. Their love had defied the rules of a cruel world, but in the end, fate would always exact its price. Now, Isolde is a shadow of her former self, living under the king's watchful eye. Yet she has never forgotten the man who made her question everything, and the harsh truth he showed her. If you liked this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comment below about what you thought of this impossible love. Let's continue this conversation in the comments.